Shabbat Shalom to all of you, and welcome to this Shabbat morning service, which is special for a number of reasons, not least that we're celebrating the Torah service, Georgia's Bat Mitzvah, and welcome to all of your family and friends. And also this is part of our Czech Memorial Shabbat as well. You will hear more about our Czech Torah scrolls. You have one in the side here, which is there as a memorial. It reminds us that the scrolls that we have are our memorial scrolls. Most of the Jews of the towns that used to read from these scrolls were murdered in the Holocaust, and we keep them alive. We are the Jews of these towns. We are the people that go back to these towns to remind the townsfolk of what happened and occurred within their towns and cities. We encourage young people to learn and understand why they're not growing up with Jewish children around them. And there's a wonderful positive story as well that is expressed through in the hall you'll go into after this service, which is the incredible relationships between Czechoslovakia and its Jewish population, and then the state of Israel as well. We do encourage you to have a look at that exhibition if you have a few moments to go round after the service. For those of you who are not Hebrew readers, I hope that you'll join in with the service as much as possible. Number one, because if you do so, it'll go quicker. It's not very long anyway, but it'll go quicker, I promise you. And also, we need your voices to create a fantastic atmosphere for Georgia and her family, and for all of us on this Shabbat morning. We hope that actually you'll find it very relevant, so please do use the time and space for your own thoughts as well. We begin our service on page 117, and please rise. And together we read at the foot of the page. We thank you, O God, for this new day, the morning sun and evening star, for flowering of tree and flowing of tide, for life-giving rains and cooling breezes, for the changing seasons, for the cycle of growth and decay, of life and of death. We awake and behold a new day. O God, renew us unto life. Teach us to recognize your presence in creation. Grateful for your gifts, may we dedicate all our powers to your service. We now have a series of blessings. Traditionally, first thing in the morning, one would recite a whole long list of blessings, and this is just a small selection of it. But as we read through, perhaps within your own hearts and minds, you might want to add just one or two of your own prayers and blessings that you would appreciate on this morning. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for eyes to see. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the joy of freedom. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for providing for all our needs. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the blessing of sleep and the privilege of waking to a new day. Continue in Hebrew together. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hamhulal b'fi amo, mushubach umfo'ar, bilshon chasidav va'avadav, bishvachot uvizmirot, negadeh lecha v'namlichecha, malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot. With the coming of day and night I will enter the covenant of God. And when evening and morning depart, I will recite God's decrees. God Most High, you are my righteousness. You teach me goodness. You are the fountain of knowledge, the dwelling place of holiness, and the summit of glory. Eternal might and majesty are yours. I will choose whatever you teach me, gladly accepting your judgments. As soon as I move my hands and feet, I will praise your name. When I go out and when I come in, when I lie down and when I rise up. When I rest on my bed, I will sing your praise. And in the company of my friends, I will praise you with the words of my mouth. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot laAdonai, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ובונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך הרעים. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. צדיק אתה מה יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה, שתולי בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. 121. Would you please rise? And together, Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VaHakadosh, Bashamayim Uva'aretz, Ki Lecha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu, Shir Ushvacha, Halel V'Zimra, Brachot V'Hodaot Me'ata Ve'ad Olam, Baruch Ata Adonai, Abocher B'Shirei Zimra. We turn on to page 135, page 135. In some ways, this is a bit like our call for prayer. So I do need everybody's voices to come together so that we can continue with our service, because in colloquialism, this sort of says, now, are we ready to properly get into the prayer service and to start really thinking about what our lives are really all about and what we're appreciative for? So we start with words which are either la 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 or na 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 or da da da. It doesn't matter which one you choose and feels most sensible for you, but I do need you all to join in so that then we can, otherwise we can't continue with the service. So I'm looking round and making sure that everybody's mouths are moving and joining in with us. It's quite a simple thing to do. And on page 136, we read together in English. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, Maker of light and Creator of darkness, Author of peace and Creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually, day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, Creator of light. We continue. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, kavod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch Hashem, kavod malchuto leolam va'ed. Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi matzavacha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. Kshaltam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'sham. Please be seated. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Lamantis keruva hasitem et kol mitzvotai. Vitem kedoshim leElohem. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Asher hotzeti etechem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem leElohim. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohim. Emet v'yatziv, good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words, now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer. As you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors, you are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Mi chamocha banim Adonai, mi kamocha neda b'kodesh, nora zechilot osei felech. A new song the redeemed sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Tzur Yisrael, u'ma b'ezrat Yisrael, go'aleinu Adonai, Tzebaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael, Gal Yisrael. Please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita kilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita kilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth shall declare your praise. Eternal God, ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imachot, U'Mevig Ula Livnei V'neihem, L'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'Ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Machayei Meitim Ata Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Morid HaTal. Ata lahachayot meitim, Baruch Ata Adonai, Machayei haMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophet's vision the hosts of heaven sing your praise above. For so it is written. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzavaot, Malach al haaretz, God's glory fills the universe. Baruch Kavod Adonai Mimakomo. From your concealment, majestic one, reveal yourself and rule over us, for you are our hope. Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Tzion, ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid God lecha. From generation to generation, we will make known your greatness. To the end of time, we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Please be seated. Yismachu b'malchutecha, Yismachu b'malchutecha, Shomerei Shabbat, v'korei honeg, Am Kadshei Shavi'i, Am Kadshei Shavi'i, Kulam Yismachu, v'yitanagu mituvecha, v'hashivi ratzita bo, v'kidashto, v'hashivi ratzita bo, v'kidashto, emdat yamim oto, v'echem v'maaseh, l'maaseh v'reishit. In the middle of page 143, we read together. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. We continue in Hebrew. Modim anachnu lach, sha'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu le'olam va'ed. Tzor chayenu magein ishenu, ata hu l'dor v'ador. Nodeh lecha u'nusaper tehilatecha, al chayenu hamatzurim bi'adecha, va'al nishmotenu habakodot lach, va'al nisecha shebachol yom imanu, va'al niflotecha v'tovotecha, shebachol eit erev v'voker v'tochorayim. Baruch ata Adonai, atov shimcha, v'lecha na'er lochodot. Sim shalom tova uvracha. 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 Together grant peace, welfare and blessing, grace, love and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Say shalom mimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Adam. Oh, say shalom bimromav, say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'himru imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. The Most High source of perfect peace, grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. We now turn to page 481 page 481 for our Torah service. There is none like you, Eternal One, among the gods people worship, and there are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your reign endures from age to age. Would you please rise? Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadlu Adonai Ti, and Aromamo Mo Yakdab, let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name.
In the presence of this congregation, which represents the Jewish people all over the world, I give thanks for what I've learned of my Jewish heritage and promise to go on studying it in the years ahead. So may I come to understand ever more deeply and carry out more fully the duties that flow from it. I think of all those who in past ages have preserved the Jewish faith and declared their loyalty to it as I do today. I thank my parents and my family, my teachers and my friends, and all who have helped me to reach this day. And I pray to God, guide me and keep me strong, so that I may fulfill the high hopes that rest on me.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shechayanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, that you have kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this season.
Amen.
Today I'm reading from Emor, Leviticus 23, verses 1 to 8. You can find this on page 927 of the Chumash. My portion is about Passover and the Sabbath day. I've chosen to read from the Pilsen Scroll, as usually people go for the new scroll, and I wanted to be different and use this one. The scroll was written in 1934 and brought over to Northwood in 1992. I particularly like this scroll because it was the only one here that was given by a woman, which is very unusual. First of all, I'm going to read my portion in English, and then I'll read it in Hebrew. Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'nu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, These are my fixed times, the fixed times of the Eternal, which you shall proclaim as sacred occasions. On 6 days work may be done, but on the 7th day there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest, a sacred occasion. You shall do no work, it shall be a Sabbath of the Eternal throughout your settlements. You shall celebrate each at its appointed time. In the first month, on the 14th day of that month, on twilight, there shall be a Passover offering to the Eternal. And on the 15th day of that month, the Eternal's feast of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days. On the first day you shall celebrate a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations. 7 days you shall make offerings by the fire to the Eternal. The 7th day shall be a sacred occasion. You shall not work at your occupations. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael va'amarta aleihem. Moedei Adonai asher tikru otam, mikra'ei kodesh. Elehem moedai. Sheishet yamim teaser melacha uvayom hashvi'i. Shabbat Shabbaton mikra kodesh, kol melacha lo ta'asu. Shabbat hi l'Adonai bechol moshvatehem. Eile moedei Adonai mikra'ei kodesh, asher tikru otam bemoedam. B'chodesh harishon ba'a asa, lachodesh bein ha'arbaim pesach l'Adonai. Uv'chamisha asa yom lachodesh hazeh, Hag hamatzot l'Adonai shivat yamim matzot tohelu. Bayom harishon mikra kodesh, Yiyeh lehem kol melehet avodah lo ta'asu. V'hikravtem ishe l'Adonai shivat yamim bayom hashvi'i. Mikra kodesh, kol melehet avodah lo ta'asu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam etabetoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Please rise. Step off. That was a stonker. Well done. Oh, what a break now. You didn't want to do this? Please be seated. Okay, we're going to take that, haven't we? Oh, actually, we can use it. Put it on last. Okay.
The first ever Shabbat was celebrated not by human, but by God. God worked for 6 days, creating heaven and earth, but on the 7th day, God rested and blessed this day. The Sabbath is the only holiday mentioned in the Ten Commandments where it says, "Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy." And here again in my portion where it refers to 6 days of work, and on the 7th how one must cease from all work. The Torah is very specific in designating Hamisha Asar Yom LaChodesh, which is the 15th day of the Jewish calendar month, as Passover. This festival celebrates 4 different events: the exit of Jewish people from Egypt and their freedom from slavery, the beginning of spring, offering of the lamb, the eating of unleavened bread. In Amor, we are specifically told to eat matzot for the 7 days, and it even refers specifically as the first and last days of the holiday being holy and rest days when we should not work. The Sabbath is part of our lives in all Abrahamic religions. Jewish people on Saturday, Muslims on Friday, and Christian faiths on Sunday. Each religion relates to it in different ways, but essentially it's the same day of rest that God celebrated in the first week of creation. In Judaism, we light candles and make kiddush over wine to commemorate this day every week. Shabbat connects to all of our lives today because everyone needs a seventh day to rest. Rest is so important. Every week I look forward to the weekend as it's a time where I can stop work, see friends, or watch TV. You can do anything you want. Rest is so important as some people today put so much pressure on themselves, and if you don't rest, it could lead to health problems. Another form of rest is sleeping. Sleeping is so good for your body, and if you don't get enough sleep, that leads to being tired, and no one likes being tired and grumpy the next morning. I know I'm going a bit extreme here, but if you continue to operate with little sleep, you could come across high blood pressure, diabetes, and even possible heart failure. This portion has taught me that as much as it's good to study and get good grades, take time out to enjoy the precious free time you have. And I think that's all a lesson we should abide by. I'm reading from the book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verses 6 to 14. It connects to the Passover story and the giving of the Torah. This relates back to my portion. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem, hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, haboher b'torah u'v'moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
You alone are the Eternal One. You made the heavens, the highest heavens, and all their host, the earth and everything upon it, the seas and everything in them. You keep them all alive, and the host of heavens bow down before you. You are the eternal God, who chose Abram, who brought him out of Ur of the Chaldeans, and changed his name to Abraham. Finding his heart true to you, you made a covenant with him, to give the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, and the Girgashite, to give it to his descendants. And you kept your word, for you are righteous. You took note of our ancestors' affliction in Egypt, and heard their cry at the Sea of Reeds. You performed signs and wonders against Pharaoh and all his servants and the people of his land, for you knew that they acted presumptuously towards them. You made a name for yourself that endures to this day. You split the sea before them. They passed through the sea on dry land, but you threw their pursuers into the depths like a stone in the raging waters. You led them by day with a pillar of cloud, and by night with a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way they were to go. You came down on Mount Sinai and spoke to them from heaven. You gave them right rules and true teachings, good laws and commandments. You made known to them your holy Sabbath, and you ordained for them laws, commandments, and teachings through Moses, your servant. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sur kol ha'olamim, tzadik beho hadorot. Ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer va'oseh, hamdaber kayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah, va'al ha'avodah, va'al ha'nevi'im, va'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh. Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha v'limnuha, lechavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, barahim otah. Yitzbarach shemcha befi kol chai tamid leolam ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai mekodesh hashabbat.
Amen. Shekoyach. Would you please rise? Step down. In the middle of page 484, we read together. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family,
for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety and pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the house of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and to do your will. And together, eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. Over the page. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado. Misha Berach Avotenu, Avraham Yitzhak Yaakov, Ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah, bless Georgia, who having reached the age of bat mitzvah, has come up to read from the Torah. Georgia, may you continue to study our heritage and take its teachings to heart and pass it on to future generations so that you may be a source of pride to your family and friends and a worthy member of our community. Georgia, you bounce with energy. I'm amazed that you really have time to rest, but maybe you exhaust yourself sometimes, as when you tell me about everything that you're doing in your life, it exhausts me sometimes just hearing about it. It's quite remarkable. But you exercise that energy in a really positive way. When I see you with your classmates, you as a whole group are just a wonderful group of young people. And you have been part of that from the youngest age. May you all be together as friends, both your school friends from your secular life and also your friends from your community. May you all stick together, just as it's wonderful to see friends of your parents here today. May you make such good lifelong friends. And may you always feel completely comfortable to bounce into this synagogue, to come and give of your energy, of your happiness and joy. And whenever you need it, may it also be a place of comfort. Georgia, we ask God to bless you with these very ancient words from the Torah. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lach shalom. May God reach out to you always in tenderness and bring you peace. Let us say, Amen. On page 489. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Can you put the scroll away? Please be seated. Just take the water out, so I think it needs some ready. Yeah?
Just as Georgia has had the opportunity to be another generation reading from Torah, I'm very fortunate to also be a rabbi following in a father's footsteps. And for those of you who don't know, this is my father, Dad, as many know you, but also our emeritus rabbi, Rabbi Dr. Andrew Goldstein, who will be delivering the sermon today.
Is that water in there? Wow. So you read from the Torah so beautifully. Who wrote the Torah? A truly Orthodox Jew would know it was either easy, it was either God or Moses. But we liberal Jews have to spend much longer answering that question. But that's not the question I want to ask, to explore this morning. Rather, who actually wrote that Sefer Torah that you read from this morning? Who actually scribed it by hand? I suspect it would take the most ingenious scholar or detective to discover that. Scribes, as we know them in Hebrew, sofarim, they never sign their name at the end of the scroll. Unless there is some ingenious hint in there, which I've never been able to find out, we never know who wrote it. We can guess at the approximate age and date when they were written. For instance, that fragment of the scroll, which is our Holocaust memorial scroll, probably was written over 350 years ago. We could tell that by counting the lines, by counting the slight variations in the script, by the feel of the parchment, and by even the stitching of the various sheets together. About one scroll, and you mentioned it today, in one scroll in there we know exactly who wrote it because we commissioned it to celebrate our, was it 50th anniversary. And we know, and the Sofer, the scribe, Bernard Ben Aroch, had written it for us, and we were able to fill in some of the last letters. So we know a lot about that one. But with the exception of that new scroll, we usually don't know anything about them, except you know something about the scroll you read from. Because as you said, or as we looked at that, on the top of the roller, in a little parchment circle, there is the name of who gave it and the date in which it was given. And as you said, it was given by a woman by the name of Bela, and 1934. We haven't yet worked out for what reason, because Jews often donate a Torah scroll on the occasion of a really big anniversary like we did with our new scroll. This Shabbat, as well as being George's bat mitzvah, is one, as my son, the rabbi, said earlier, it's the week of our Czech and Slovak memorial, when we remember the communities behind each of those scrolls, because all of them, except for the new scroll, come from Czech or Slovak communities. Communities that were destroyed and murdered in the Holocaust. Well, Georgia decided to read the one we have from Pilsen, and that was before she knew it was given by a woman. Pilsen, what do you know about Pilsen? Beer, exactly. The only thing that most people know about Pilsen, and the real scholars know Skoda works there, but Pilsen, it's the beer, the best beer in the world, I can tell you. And so, George, you sort of chose well, although I'm not saying you should go and make Kiddush in beer, but there is some there if you actually want to. Before the Second World War, Pilsen had a large and wealthy Jewish community. And it boasted the third largest synagogue in the world. It could seat over 2,000 people. Can you imagine that? The building still stands on the main thoroughfare through the city, avoiding destruction by the Nazis because tall apartment blocks were built either side of it. Now it's largely, sadly, only used as a concert hall because there are only 100 or less Jews left in town. Though Rabbi Leah and I will spend a Shabbat morning service there in 3 weeks' time. Let me tell you the story of one Pilsen Jew who survived the war. Rudolf Lowy was 18 when the Germans invaded Czechoslovakia. His father had given him a passport for a birthday present and advised him to get out of the country, and he did on the last train out. He came to England and joined the Czech and British Army and fought in the war. In 1945, he married a Jewish woman who was working with the Czech government in exile in London. She returned on the very first plane back to Prague after the war, and it crashed on landing, killing all in it. Having lost his wife, Rudolf returned to Pilsen to find that all his wider family had been murdered in the Holocaust. But he did not give up. He reclaimed the family farm and in time married a woman who had survived Auschwitz, and they had a son and daughter. But then there was another tragedy when the communists took over the country in 1948. Rudolf was declared a capitalist, and the farm was confiscated, and he was put in prison. When he came out, he had to hump flour sacks in a mill for the rest of his working life. He'd not been particularly Jewish as a youth. He had a bar mitzvah, of course, in that huge synagogue. I wonder, did he read from the scroll that you read from this morning? Life was difficult in communist times, but Rudolf Lowy kept the community going, and a group from this synagogue met him and the surviving Jews on a brief visit in 1986. We became immediate friends. And when the communist regime fell in 1989, we started helping that community to rebuild. I went several times, as did other members of the synagogue, a number of you sitting here today, to take Shabbat and High Holy Day services, Pesach Seders, and Purim celebrations. But most importantly to today's story, Rabbi Aaron, then a young man, led a party of young adults, including his sister Ruth, who conducts the choir, and his wife Tammy, and me, well, not really a young adult, but I crept in there, to help rebuild ruined Jewish cemeteries in that locale. At the end of a backbreaking week, the leaders of the community, to thank us, invited us to dinner at the Pilsner Urquell Brewery restaurant. Well, much of the famed beer was drunk. And I asked Rudolf if the community would give or lend us a Sefer Torah. I knew that there were several unused scrolls in a cupboard of the community offices. Rudolf went round to the community officers, by then well into their beer, and they all agreed. Had it waited till the next sober council meeting, I suspect they wouldn't have been so generous. Next day, we went down to the offices, chose the best Torah, bought a huge rucksack, and brought that very Torah home all the way, fortunately those days by train. And you can see pictures of its arrival in the Azorio Hall when we go for Kiddush. There are many more Pilsner stories to tell. Soon after we got the Torah, however, Rudolf Lowy died from the effects of the hard labor in the communist time. But before dying, he set in motion the restoration of the big synagogue. And after he died, it was his son George who saw the massive project become reality. George Lowy is now chairman of the small but enthusiastic community. And luckily, another synagogue has been restored in that town because the tiny surviving community would clearly get lost in the big synagogue. Rudolf Lowy, despite his life being afflicted by a series of tragedies, ensured that the flame of Judaism is kept alive in Pilsen. And by arranging for us to have a Torah scroll, he's inspired a generation in this synagogue, including many a bar and bat mitzvah, and now the latest one being Georgia. Inspire them to confirm their Jewish identity with the added story of the scroll and Rudolf Lowy and the Torah from Pilsen, adding color to the memory of this very special day in their Jewish life. The Torah itself contains many stories, many teachings. We are fortunate that stories continue to be told. And this Czech and Slovak Memorial Shabbat, we are most privileged to have next door an exhibition linking Israel Independence Day, which was last week, and this Shabbat, Israel and the Czech Republic. And we were proud to have the Czech ambassador here last night to open that exhibition. It tells of the positive relationship between the countries. Do take a moment, if you can, to look at the exhibition, and if it's too crowded, try and come back at some other time in the next 3 weeks. Georgia, you read from our Pilsen Torah the beginning of what's called the festival calendar. You read to us about Shabbat and said how important it was. You read to us about Pesach, which we've just celebrated. And each of those and each of the other festivals has a story to tell. And in the Haftarah, you reminded us that when the Jews returned to the land of Israel from exile in Babylon, they gathered and were united as a people, as the prophet Nehemiah read to them. Perhaps, who knows, well, there's a hint that it may have been the very passage that you read from the Torah today, reminded them of our history over, well, it was 2,500 years ago, reminded them of their history and their traditions as you read today. I hope that the stories you have heard and experienced on this day of your bat mitzvah, will remind you always of your Jewish heritage, and that we can all take away from this service a sense of pride in our past and confidence in the future of our people. Amen.
Let us move to our concluding prayers, which you can find now on page 520. Page 520. And please rise when you found it. And together, let us now praise the Sovereign of the universe and proclaim the greatness of its Creator, whose unity it is our mission to make known, whose rule it is our task to make effective. Anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who spread out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory fills the highest heavens, whose might extends throughout all space, who alone is our God, but no other exists, who in truth is our sovereign, for there is none else, as it is written. Know then this day and take it to heart. The Eternal One is God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is no other. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity your reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. And it has been said, the eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one, and known to be one. I will ask congregants to say aloud the names of those who died from our Torah towns in the past that they remember. And guests, please feel free to add names of family or friends who you remember at this time as well. We also, on this Shabbat, commemorate the yard sites in our community of Sigmund Scharf, the grandfather of Michael Gordon, and Hilda Shine, his cousin. Of Henry Walker, the friend of Fiona Holding, of Dennis Kettle, the father of John Kettle, and of David Cooper, the father of Adele Slifke. If I look round, if you would like to mention some names, please do.
Hilda Fedorova, the wife of the Rabbi Richard Feder.
Otto Engel, his wife Olga, and their children, Leo and Eva. Giza Pikova-Sauskova, the writer.
Ludwig Hermann and his wife Regina.
Margulius, father and son.
Aurora, and his wife. Rita Kraft, mother Ibe Kraft.
Oscar Arthur, lawyer. His wife Anna. Their son.
Indrich Rice, his wife Vilma, and daughters Nellie and Erica.
Valerie Fleischner and son Richard, the lawyer, who was taken as political prisoner.
Rudolph Lowy.
All of those we have mentioned, all of those we hold in our hearts, and all of those we do not know but by name. Let us sanctify their lives and praise God at the same time for those who survived. and enabled us to continue the story, the Jewish story. Page 524, we recite together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei techol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Hei shemei Rabbah mavarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itpa'a v'tromam v'yitnasei, v'tada v'talei v'talal shemei dekudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Ehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromam, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol b'nei adam, v'imru amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, to all humanity. Let us say. Please be seated. And as I invite our President, Steve Herman, to come up to make a presentation to Georgia, please can I just let members know that, well, you're all invited on the 22nd of May. If you're inspired by the exhibition, there has actually been a film written around the story of how Czechoslovakia provided planes and trained pilots to enable Israel to win its war of independence. One could argue without this, they may never have gained independence and won that war. Some incredible stories. Ezer Weizmann, one of the presidents of Israel, was one of the pilots. And I can't see him right now, but Josh Burl, one of our members, tells me that his uncle was another of those pilots as well. It's an incredible story. The evening of the 22nd of May at 7:30 will be screening above and beyond. Many more things for congregants to look out for in Devar and in other forms of media, but Steve and Georgia, would you like to come up?
So Georgia, you remind us that there's times appointed for all sorts of things. Day is the appointed time for your bat mitzvah, and I know you're an actress, but you perform your portion absolutely superbly well, with great sentiment and great feeling, and now you can have a rest. Okay. And in the cycle of things, so for today, we offer you a card from the community to say Mazel Tov and well done. For the upcoming cycle of High Holy Days, we are delighted to give you our High Holy Day prayer book. Okay. And in the future, which is maybe a couple of years away, there's a youth trip to Israel. This is a voucher towards a youth trip to Israel. And when you get there, you'll have this fantastic opportunity in Jerusalem to have a 3-day Shabbat in Jerusalem, because there's lots of places you can go for 3 days in Jerusalem. Mazel Tov and well done. And you can even have the bag.
And I should have said that we'll have lots of opportunities as well to come with us to the Czech Republic. In August, member Jane Drapkin, if you're interested, wave your hands around, so if you're interested, in coming then, we'll be hosting a wild swim in one of our Torah towns, Kolin, and the opportunity to go with a group to the Czech Republic. Next year, we just need to work out the dates. We'll be taking another group. Our Kabbalat Torah group goes every year, and we'll be working out either next year or the year after, during a half term, an opportunity for families to come together, to go together to Prague, to Terezin, but also to our Torah towns as well. So please do log that in mind. We'll give you at least a year's notice for that. And also a few of our congregants are embarking on a new adventure with our community, which is that we are now twinned with a community in Ukraine, in the town of Lviv, which some of you may know as Lvov, or Lemberg, depending on which period of history you know it by, because it has changed hands in many times. This community has about 30 odd members, and we are going to meet with them again. And I'm going off on the Saturday whilst our group enjoy and look at the history and understand the history of Lviv, off to the town of Lutsk, where there is another progressive community. I'm going to meet them for the first time, and hopefully we'll also build a relationship with them. So many stories that we continue to build. We're so proud that we have such an amazing, strong and supportive congregation. And it's so wonderful that we're able to go out and bring support and strength to other smaller Jewish communities around the world. So part of our strength comes from belief. Whatever that belief is that we have, there's certainly a belief in the Jewish people. And so we celebrate our belief and what holds us together, our glue. If you go into pretty much any synagogue in the world, you'll hear a service ending, if not this way with a guitar, but certainly with these words, just across the page on 525. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefzo kol, Azai Melech, B'terem kol yetzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefzo kol, azai melech shemo nikra, v'acharei kichlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, v'chu haya, v'chu chaveh, v'chu hiyeh b'tifar, Adon Olam Hashem alach, b'terem kol yetzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefzo kol, azai melech shemo nikra, v'acharei kichlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, v'chu haya, v'chu chaveh, v'tifara, v'chu haya, v'chu chaveh, v'tifara, v'chu haya, v'chu chaveh, v'tifara. Please rise. And as Jews have said throughout the millennia, at least since this was written, Bi'ado afkid ruchi, be'eti shan va'ayira, ve'imruchi gaviati Adonai li velo ira. Into your hand we place our souls. Sleep, awake, for you are near. With our souls, our bodies too. You are our gods. We shall not fear. Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov, and please do join us next door for Kiddush.